We are recording.
We're recording. Okay, and we have no Margot today?
No Margot today.
All right.
That's so funny.
Okay, we've got the formal stuff. Call to order the meeting of Community Engagement Committee, January 14th.
Yes, seconded, as I'm sure I'm supposed to do that.
We have order has been called. And I know Aaron will correct me if I screw anything up, so it's great. Okay, so we had, Aaron sent out the minutes from last time. We had a chance to take a look at those. Seemed reasonable, basically describe what we're doing, which is great. Citizens agenda, I didn't see anything. I'd like to approve those
Motion to
minutes.
approve.
Motion to approve.
Now you
So
can do a
moved.
second. Oh, second. Okay. I don't know what to do. Sure.
So moved. That's close enough.
We're good.
We're good. Moving right along to citizens agenda, I didn't see anything on there.
We're good there.
Anybody else have other random things to bring up, chat about, citizens agenda? We're citizens too, right? Yeah. Cool. Then moving right into the fun stuff, our discussion items. So, we're at the part here where we've been talking about this a while, about these attendance topics. And this is kind of the fun part, I think, of our homework was to brainstorm ideas on what ways can we move the needle specifically with educating the community around attendance. What the situation is, why is this important, what they can do, things like that. So yeah, this is one of those brainstorming sessions where we just throw out a bunch of crazy ideas and talk about them a bit and then see kind of what coalesces here at the end of an hour. And I did skip over the first item on the discussion items list, which I think is one of these ideas, which is creating a subcommittee to work with the ROE on this partnership mapping concept. And let's hold off on that until we talk about the other things, and then take that as one of our points of action as we move along here. But yeah. So don't all shout out at once, but who had brilliant ideas about? Okay, I shouldn't cut it like that. Anybody got ideas about things we could do?
I mean, I think we talked about it last time at the very end, a social media campaign to really just educate parents in sort of like a non-scary way.
Cool.
And we're all constantly on our phones. I think that would be important first step.
Okay.
Were we going to use some of the graphics / information on this? Was it on this Attendance Works sites? Because rather than reinventing the wheel, some of that was.
There's a lot of good ones on there.
Exactly.
One, John, I want to just mention, if
No,
that's
I'm
okay.
finished.
It's a graphic, Kathleen, so
Okay.
I mean, I'm
You're
piggybacking
following
on-
up, yeah.
I am. And it really kind of made me think, truancy versus chronic absence. And I'm like, well, what is the difference? You know, I mean, at first when I looked, I'm like, not a lot, but it is, truancy only is unexcused, emphasizes compliance with school rules, and it relies on legal and administrative
Yep.
solutions. Where chronic absence counts all of them, excused and unexcused, so like if you're sick, that's excused. Emphasizes academic impact of the missed days, and also uses community-based, the positive strategies rather than, we're gonna send you to jail if you don't send your kid to school.
And
Nobody likes that idea.
I don't like that idea. I
No.
don't think we do they use the word truancy anymore in
We don't, do we? What did they call it?
Attendance support.
I knew you'd
attendance
know.
support? So that's the people at the ROE who come in and.
We do call it that? We don't, she's not a truancy officer anymore?
No.
No,
Okay, I honestly didn't know that.
it's a pre-owned vehicle.
That's right. Good comparison.
Okay.
Well, following up on that, I would bet most people whose kids might be chronically absent don't necessarily think that they're truant. They think they have excuses for why their child is absent.
You mean good excuses or
Excuse,
Well, see, that's a whole different beast there,
Everybody
right?
thinks their own excuses are good excuses.
Exactly.
My reasons are good reasons.
Right.
Yeah,
So I talked to my high school senior son a bit about this, and, there's something else that I feel like has been a wave in culture, has been like mental health awareness. And, I need a mental health day from school, and at school, it feels like it's a lot of stress, and I just really need to take a day for me, and that there's a certain part of that feels like a really healthy thing.
Mm-hmm.
And those can add up, right? Because these mental health days count towards chronic absenteeism. And I put it to my high school senior, I said, how many, you see kids who are not there. His impression was, yeah, that's not why they're not there. They're just there because they don't want, okay, I was gonna ask you, Grace.
I agree.
You agree with that?
I feel like in high school, if the people don't want to be there, they'll just leave. But
They don't.
like we looked at, kindergarten is the one who is the issue. And I have two sisters who are in kindergarten. I mean, like, I get it. Like, but also, that surprises me so much because, like, they're the ones especially who have to, like, get taken there and they get put there. Like, high schoolers can get themselves there, so.
And they can get themselves out.
Yes.
but Grace, do you know of kids who say, I just don't feel like going, I'm gonna take a mental health day? Or do they bother to do that, or they just,
So if you're going to take a mental health day, you actually have to tell the school that it's a mental health day, and then they'll mark it in the mental health days, if I'm correct. So it counts under, like, you have like 2 or 3 days that you can take for mental health days, but even if they tell their parents, I don't think people would tell, like, I don't know that people are strongly like, oh, I'm going to take a mental health day, rather than I just don't feel like going to school, even if it is because of mental health. That makes sense.
And what did we look up, how many mental health days?
I think
It's
5.
five.
I thought it was 5.
5 is, yeah, that's
For
a
a
lot.
year?
5, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
They still count as absent, it
Sure.
doesn't
All goes
matter.
in the
Yeah,
bucket.
yeah.
It's all in the bucket of chronic.
Yeah, that's what's always kind of confusing, is you get a mixed message, like the state will
Yes.
penalize you if they get over so many days, but they passed the law
They
that
can
said
have-
you get up to 5
Yeah.
mental health days. Not that I
Exactly.
think those are a bad thing, but you get kind of those mixed
Right.
Well,
messages.
because then you're probably also, well, there's little regular sick days,
Uh-huh.
and there's,
Vacation.
vacation
Yeah.
days. and-
Bereavement and everything else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the high school just sent out their new attendance policy for second semester. Did anyone read or not read that? Who did get a copy of the high school's thing? 'Cause I got a couple of kids in high school. Okay,
Mr. Tate isn't here, but.
Mr. Tate isn't here. I imagine he wrote that, or.
He did, yeah.
He did, okay. It was, I thought it was very well explained. He basically said, Grace, can you try to sum it up? You probably heard it better than I
So
have.
I feel like it's more based on like grade level and it's more incentivized. So if you're like 90% is the big number. And so like as a senior, I can have I don't have to take any finals if I am like 90% attendance and I'm passing all my classes. And then I get to take no finals. So, I mean, younger kids, as it goes, it's more requirements, but they're really, like, their big thing they're pushing right now is 90% attendance because that is the biggest issue.
And then your grade for that class would be based on what you
Yeah.
have without the final.
Yeah,
So that's an incentive to kids to say,
Yeah.
hey, if you actually show up, you don't have to, it's a nice
yeah.
carrot that they can give instead
But
of
also,
stick.
like, that plays into, like, right now, like, you can't go to homecoming or prom if you don't have 90% attendance.
Oh.
That's a big one. That's, like, hard for people. But also, if you already have missed that many days, there's nothing you can, you know what I mean, do now. That's my personal thing. Like, if you already haven't shown up to school, then you really have to come to school every day, which is another incentive, you know.
Have you heard feedback on the policy from students of positive, negative?
I don't know. I feel like it was just recently, like sent out within this past week, so I don't know how much like pushback there is quite yet, but I personally think it's a good thing. Like the never before, like seniors don't have to take any finals, which is, I mean, great for me, which some people probably should take their finals, but I only have like 1 or 2 classes, but yeah, like 90% attendance. But like to me, I feel like just showing up to school shouldn't be that big of a challenge. You know what I mean? Just 90% of the time. But for other people, I feel like that might be a bigger incentive to go
Yeah.
to school.
So if kids are sick, Like,
That counts.
and I can't go to the prom if I've been really sick this year?
Yep.
Yep.
There's also, I remember at the bottom of
There's,
the letter.
yeah,
Oh,
there's like
I'm
a
trying to
special
find it, but I
cases
can't.
that you can like go and talk to, like.
Plead your case.
Like, for example, my little sister, she was super sick this year and she's already passed her bench, like the
Mhm.
requirement of school days. But I think for things like that, they would excuse it for like prom or homecoming or something.
Got it.
But I think it just depends case to case basis or.
Yeah, it's like one of these big policy and then, and we reserve
Yeah.
the right to make
Amy, it's
exceptions.
probably, I
wherever.
haven't seen the policy, but it's probably like a doctor's note pending.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
An extenuating circumstance, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I don't
Also,
see-
just really quick, Mr. Tate did want to share that they did see a 1.6% improvement on attendance of first semester this year to, compared to last year. So I'm
Okay.
sure we'll get updates with second semester after this policy goes into.
First semester both last year and this year.
Yes, so we had essentially 1.5% improvement in attendance, so it's something.
And you might be seeing increase as it goes along because you may be having the, the repercussions still from COVID, where people had that attitude, I don't go to church anymore, I don't do this anymore, I don't go to school anymore. So in time, you're going to see probably all that, hopefully, change and go back to where we were prior to those days that they stayed home. That we all stayed home.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Okay, so I feel like I got us off track there a little bit, but thanks for that info on, I always love having you here, Grace, to get that, feel like I'm getting the direct word from the street here of,
Right.
of what's actually going on in high school. Not that Mr. Tate wouldn't, of course.
Yes.
Okay, other things that we can do to, so I love the social media campaign idea of this. Are there other, one way of this discussion could go is kind of fleshing out on what does a social media campaign look like? But let's stay at the level of, okay, social media, great, and what else? Is there other,
What if we did something which I feel like it's expanding a little every year? What if we did something with the tools for schools? Like some kind of info, something.
remind me what Tools for Schools is all about?
Well, it's backpacks and it's like before school starts. We had to move it from the Reagan gym over to the Elks.
Right,
Yeah,
yes.
and they come and they get backpacks. This year it was haircuts and shoes
Okay.
and,
Whole bunch of services for kids.
yes.
Got it,
And
yeah,
I'm-
yes.
Were you there? I wasn't there.
I saw a bunch
This
of
was,
pictures from it, it was really
yeah.
big
Mandy
turnout.
Dallas.
Yes,
kinda
Mandy's
organized,
has been spearheading that, but, I mean, it seems, like I said, it's expanding into other things.
Mhm.
Was the health, I'm trying to think, like health department there?
Well, library was, I mean.
You were
there's
there
tons
too?
of
Yeah,
The
stuff.
bank was there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Free money.
I know, right? We did, and I passed it out.
But it's an opportunity to get the word out and have a table, just reminding people.
Or
about-
like some of these good visuals, like we have poster makers in the district,
Yep. I like the idea
Pamphlets.
of a clear, like this can go into the social media campaign, but there being a clear message of, what is our hardest hitting message here? And the thing that always kicks in my head, I'll start it, is this, I heard at one point, I can't remember what the statistic is, but it's like after you've missed 10%, grades are average to fall off, or you're some kind of additional risk for failure, or there's some kind of number like that, that feels like the scare tactic in my head that keeps reminding me about that. And I don't know what that was or where it came from.
By sixth grade, chronic absence becomes a leading indicator that a student will drop out of high school.
Okay?
Poor attendance can influence whether they read proficiently by the end of third grade or be held back.
Was there something even for kindergarten? See, because in my opinion,
Yeah, what's the
if we're not
kindergarten?
going to hit, which I think we can send to everybody, but getting kindergarten families to
Yeah,
start
start.
recognizing the importance.
Right, because I get that, I mean, that's the impression that I get at, like, currently in preschool, like, parents seem to think that preschool and kindergarten aren't really that important. They just don't.
It's just preschool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when my kids have been gone for, a week, 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
we check in, they're like, well, it's just preschool. Like, nobody seems to, like, a lot of parents don't seem to really grasp how important early childhood is. So kindergarten, preschool, even first grade, I mean, they don't, it's just first grade, it's just
Yeah.
kindergarten. Like, I've always gotten that impression for as
Okay.
long
I
as I've
can
been
teach them
teaching.
what they need.
I
There
can teach them
are-
what they
There
need.
are visuals from that website, Margot
Right.
gave me the ones that she liked from the website. There are 2 on there that she printed out that are preschool and kindergarten. related, so.
Okay.
Because isn't that where the biggest
It is. Yeah, kindergarten.
is right
Well,
now?
Washington, right?
Yeah.
Or was
I
it-
think Washington was our
And
big.
then the high school is second.
Yeah.
High school is, as Aaron said, the numbers are a little tricky to read for the high school because they've got, I think it's, if you only miss one class, then it's a half a day. That's the equivalent of half a day
It's-
at the
yeah,
high
it's
school.
really-
And so the numbers for the high school are hard.
And 90% works out to be, has anyone done the?
18 days.
18?
Give us up to 18 days. Say it was 90%.
Yeah, 9 per semester.
That's a lot, though.
It
You know what I
is.
mean? When I think about it that way, I was thinking that the number was gonna be less than that.
Seems
but
like a lot of days.
It does.
This is a lot of days.
And
I mean, you think about that, sorry, just from like weekday aspect of school, that's a month of school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
18, yeah,
Right.
about 22 days in a month or something like that, which means right there.
I think part of, and I don't know what this statistic would be or this graphic would be, but I'm thinking about, I guess sometimes you have a hard time thinking like long-term, right? So we see these kids coming in, you say it's just preschool, it's just, 3rd grade, whatever. But if you could have some type of, a statistic to say like the correlation, and I know we're kind of talking about that now, but to really understand that what you're doing right now and what you are and what the foundation that you're creating right now has tremendous impact way down here.
Right.
And if we can somehow build that connection where it clicks in an easy digestible manner without like, you're a bad parent because you're not taking your kid to school, but to really understand this is, I don't think it's intentional and they probably don't have that that connection to understand that. But if there's a way to try and communicate that, I think that could be powerful a little bit because none of us want to adversely, intentionally, I think, at least I hope, our children, you just don't recognize in the time maybe that's what you're doing.
Yeah. And I love how you just said that though, as far as, it's just preschool, and I mean, you could formulate a whole campaign around that, but
Yes.
it's just preschool,
And
it's
then-
just one day,
It's
it's
just
just,
one
that
day.
type of thing. With your responses to that, or kind of the education piece around that, part of it, because, again, I have a 6-year-old, right, so like, it is, it's like, when he's sick, that's a little baby, like that,
Right.
you're like, we're keeping him home, but it's like, it's not just one day or 2 days, or, maybe I'll keep him home one extra, no, like, it's hard to do that at that point, so.
And that's a great idea. Maybe you can build a whole campaign off of that. It's quick, it tells you like, it's what we say, but then you can back up data to be like, wow, that's what this is though.
For for the younger grades, I feel like it would be beneficial to kind of, I don't know, maybe point out the things that they work on in preschool and kindergarten and how they feed into how, how they learn later in life. Like, I have my kids who don't come to school very often, this is terrible for me to say, but their fine motor skills are trash. So when they go to start writing their own, papers, they can't do it because they can't hold a pen because they're not coming to school.
And they're not practicing.
And they're not practicing learning those fine motor skills, and if they're not doing those things that are gonna help them down the road. They're not, recognizing, I mean, my kids who come in every, few days, they're missing letters that we're learning that they need to know to go to kindergarten. I mean, we have kids that aren't gonna know their alphabet by the time they go to kindergarten, and how is that gonna affect their reading skills from then on? I think really like connecting one thing from one grade to, how it's gonna affect them throughout their entire school career is, I think that might be kind of effective for some parents who maybe think that kindergarten, 1st grade, who cares?
Right, right.
We're just gonna miss it, who cares?
Every day matters.
Yeah.
Is there any way to correlate reading level with absenteeism? Is there any way we can pull that data?
That'd be interesting. I'm sure studies have been done.
Right, I don't know if there's any way within the district we can do that.
Pull our personal data.
No, I'm trying to think how we could do that. I'm thinking about that, Jeff.
Okay.
You go home and ask Kim. She'll do it. She'll have it done by tomorrow.
We'll let her know you volunteered.
Yeah.
Voluntold.
Yeah.
See, it's definitely possible.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure, but I'm thinking.
Because I would think that would be pretty big.
Yeah.
And then, answering the objections so like, and maybe this is, obviously separate campaigns or separate communication, but then, okay, so what are the challenges then? Okay, so now we've identified that this is the repercussion of this. Okay, so if you have, if you're struggling with transportation, if you are struggling with, whatever, there might be some underlying things that people are not communicating on. So maybe you automatically get in front of that and say, and that's connecting some of those resources that potentially we can funnel in to say, this is why we know this is so important. This is the longevity, like this is the long game. So how do we support it? What can we give you to help you get to where they can get here? So is it a partnership with lots? Is that connecting someone with some type of counseling? Is that, I don't know.
Well, maybe there's a tagline on anything we send out. If you're struggling to get your child to school,
Call us, or
Call.
reach us.
and who that number is,
Mhm.
I am not sure.
What's your number,
maybe-
Kathleen?
What was that?
What's your number?
I wonder if sometimes it's just really hard for parents to reach out. Like, I don't like making phone calls. I'm a millennial, I'd rather text, like I don't want to make phone calls. Like, if somebody's really struggling with getting their child to school, maybe it's just hard for them to, like, is there like a different way we can have them communicate with schools if they're
Could you
really
do like a
struggling?
Google form or something like that?
Yeah,
that
like
sends
something
out-
that makes it a little easier or a little less,
You're right, they're not gonna call.
they're not, no.
Because-
Yeah, even like the page we created last year with like all the links on it, all the things you can go to, something like that, yeah, something.
And you could just have a simple form that says, why are you having troubles or whatever, and then it goes
Right.
to an administrator or whoever's
Right.
responsible for them, and then they can take it from there.
Yeah.
Couldn't we put something on the app? Wouldn't there be an option right there? They wouldn't have to fill out a form or anything, it would be easy.
Yeah, you can put a link right from the app or the website, it's all tied to the same thing, to a form that they can fill out to submit it, to ask for help in some kind of way. So I like a lot of the slogans that I'm hearing, it's just one day you're missing, or if you're struggling to get your kid to school, call this number or do this thing or whatever. It feels like it would be great to have some kind of image, like we talked about, an image to capture this. I am not a graphic designer, but I think it takes that. Sammy, for some reason, do you have skills around that or something, or?
No.
For some reason-
I don't.
I don't know why I had that idea in my head.
You look like you
You look so
nice,
I use Canva a lot, but
Okay.
I mean, Canva is easy for anyone, but no, I am not talented when
Okay,
it
all
comes
right,
to
so
that. I wish I
For
was.
some reason, I had that idea, sorry.
That's okay.
Well, kind of them could probably, I'm not gonna volunteer and I probably shouldn't, but we
Oh,
have
that's
people
fine.
in the district, right, who can do that stuff.
Yes, yeah. I am the techie kind of person who can like know how to put together something, but then there's also like this marketing
Yeah.
idea that we want to do this communicating a campaign of some kind. And I don't know where that would exist in the district.
I don't really know how you would communicate that in a graphic.
Right.
That's hard.
You'd have to
Well, and
narrow
it's
it
kind
down
of-
to
yeah,
decide,
so
do you want it really
really-
broad or do you want it really narrow?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you would never stunt the growth of a tree. You need all that, you need to nurture it for the tree to grow. As far as a house doesn't stand strong unless it's got a good foundation. I mean, there are
Look at
so
you.
many ideas.
Oh, yeah.
You were just looking the wrong way.
Yeah, I know.
You're a graphic
So,
designer.
so I mean, there are ways to get that message across. But I keep on questioning the people who are keeping their kids home. You know, we get it, we understand that, but do we have to individually look at the kids who are staying home and the parents and does it mean someone in the high school making those phone calls saying, this is your such and such day, he is really at risk for failure, or that he won't be going to prom and he will have to take exams, and we target because we know who they are. They're the same offenders, aren't they, Joey?
Yeah, I would say so.
real
I
serious
mean, for
ones?
us, too, we start to look at summer school, as a possibility, like, we haven't really gone, so far to say if you don't meet a certain benchmark, you go to summer school. But a lot of times, like, we started looking at kids who are below the 10th percentile in their STAR scores. And a lot of times, there's a big correlation with those kids and, attendance. To the other part of it that's, kind of an issue to handle diplomatically too, is our students with disabilities have way higher rates of chronic absenteeism, so it's kind of, a chicken or the egg kind of an idea where, do they not come to school because it's hard for them, or is it hard for them because they don't come to school? Or is it some combination of the two things that feed each other?
I really feel like some of it falls back on the value of school for families. I think some families who value school are gonna get their kids there, and I think families who don't, they're not.
Right.
Now, it could be families, that, well, we don't have, I just had a student absent the other day. Well, I said all the brothers and sisters were absent, are they sick? Well, no, they missed the bus and they didn't have a ride, so there's that. I mean, there are cases like that, but I think underlying a lot of it can be, do we as a family value education?
And at these lower levels, once you get to the high school and you say, they're walking in the front door and out the back, they just don't want to be there. Well, now that's a whole different issue.
I agree, yeah.
It's similar too, the students don't value, if they don't value their time there, then
Absolutely.
And I think that's what this campaign can do, is to help them see. Actually, I think in reality, there is value there for those families, they just don't see it, and they don't recognize the value that's
I
there.
think you could be right, yes.
And,
Especially for younger grades. I can't tell you how many times, especially during COVID, I've heard, well, you're a glorified babysitter. Like, they don't need to be in school.
Yeah.
There are
Actually-
people that actually like have said that
Believe
to
that.
my face. Like, it's,
Crazy.
there are people that just genuinely don't value what public schools
I think
do for the
that's,
kids.
I think that's just a lack, I would never say that, but I mean, just a lack of knowledge. I mean, that's the opportunity where you just are uneducated
Yeah.
on this topic, and so maybe that's where that
Right.
comes from, is like to show somehow, and I don't know, and I know I made this analogy before, but I'm telling you, it was something that resonated with me, is like, I know I shouldn't be eating French fries. I like French fries. But if I knew how many squats I had to do to make up for the small French fries I was gonna go get, that makes me stop and think. I make that correlation just because, do they understand that what they're doing today has this huge, they just don't know.
Long-term, yeah.
They just don't know. I think some people don't. And so that's where I think if you're gonna do a social media campaign, you have to have consistency. Where you're it's something that you're gonna share every Monday.
Yeah.
And it goes out every Monday for the rest of the year consistently. You are going to get some type of message about what it means to be in school, or why we,
It's so important.
and maybe that's on a whole range of topics, but I think it has to just be a consistent message that comes out.
Educating.
Yeah. And that's the first part then, is developing what is this message, and getting the message together in a clear, concise way. We've got a lot of ideas for what that could be. We've got some folks who know how to use Canva. Could it make sense for a few of us to sit down in a working session of sitting down and drafting things? I don't know if that makes more sense for some people to work on messages on their own and then bring them together in a smaller group, or get 3 or 4 people together and.
Do we have a specific department in the school district that just handles
Like
marketing and
communication like
social
that?
media and all of that?
Kyman.
Yeah, he's the department.
He's part of our IT department, but he's also responsible for the social media and marketing aspects of things.
Yeah. it's-
Because he can do it, or because he's creative? Because there's,
Or because
He-
he's getting
you know,
paid?
So it started out because he can do it, he actually is fairly
Okay,
creative with
good.
some
Yeah.
things, so, obviously he needs some direction, but, yeah.
sure, especially the message that
Yeah.
we want,
Yep.
I think that's the hard, the message is the hard part,
Yes.
because I've seen what he puts, I mean, we all have to see what he puts out from
Yep.
the school, and I think it's great. I mean, I think
But
Yeah, pretty much anything school related that has gone out on our social media stuff,
He
he
has.
does, so.
yeah.
Well, I would propose that a few of us sit down together and have a working session of some kind, brainstorming where you can sit down for an hour or two or whatever and pound through some ideas about phrases or catchy things that are going to communicate this idea about the value of going and the cost of not going, to have these people who can't see the value to open their eyes and help them to see it, help them see what that is.
There might be some of that online,
I was
right?
gonna say,
There's probably a ton of that online. Yeah.
probably use AI too,
I was just
Chat GPT.
There you go. Have it make it for you.
Grace, is attendance taken in every single class?
Um,
So if you go to your first hour class and then you don't go to your second hour class, does your parent get a text message that says Grace
So-
is missing?
So after, I think it's like 20-ish minutes, or it's after like so many, like if you miss and then it's like the next class you're still not there, I think, like, I've never missed class. I don't know.
She is not our expert. We're gonna need you to find someone who's on
But I know that if you, I don't know about the parents aspect, but I know like, Mr. Gruber, he'll come around the next day and you'll get a detention. The first hour, like, next day, he'll comes around to every class. And the people who missed a class period or who weren't, like, called off of school, they get pulled out and then they get a detention. So they crack down very much on.
But do the parents know they're getting that
Well,
detention?
I travel to the high school, so I look up there, I look up to see if my student is there, student or students, and I see like second or third hour, I see like UC, and I think that means, Erin, doesn't that mean unexcused we called?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's, I assume that they called to say, hey, Jean wasn't in
Right,
class.
because you want to do that.
UC, they're
because-
unexcused and we called.
Yeah, there is some communication with parents. I don't think it happens that same day. But
Oh.
it's like within 24 hours. or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reach out like that.
One time I forgot to call when my son was off sick.
Yeah, it is
They
the same
called me
day.
very quickly.
They call you,
Yeah, they
Yeah,
called.
it's
Madison
like
called me
by
very
10 a.m. or
quickly.
something. I gotta-
Well, especially if they're small, because,
So
you know,
in-
you could have dropped them off and,
In the morning, yes,
Yes,
especially
yes,
for
right,
the,
little
so the
ones.
ones that have the consistent schedule.
Yes.
Yeah, like if they're not there by a certain
They get a
time,
phone call.
either the secretary's
Yes.
calling or you get an automatic text or call. High school's a little bit different, they still do that, it's at the beginning of the day, but I'm not sure with the, you know,
After
if
lunch.
you were there from 1 to 2, but missed 3 and back for 4 and missed 5, like, I'm not sure exactly how that works there.
I was also gonna say, I feel like it plays into what you were saying also, but like if parents, they didn't value going to school, I feel like they're not gonna push for their kids to go to school. So I feel like it's kind of a generational thing where if their parents didn't push them to go to school, they're gonna feel the same way about pushing their kids to go to school. You know, so it's kind of a hard cycle to break.
Right.
And quite frankly, I think it would just be alienating families more because they don't want to hear it, really. And if you're calling to, you know, harp on them for telling them that their kid's late or not there or whatever, I don't think parents now want that.
so where are they gonna go then? Like, if they don't like it, so what are they gonna do?
I mean,
There's like this big kind of, I don't know if it's like a push or it's like the popular thing to do right now where parents are like pulling their kids out of school and they're gonna homeschool them or they're gonna unschool them. Which some parents are very good teachers and can absolutely homeschool their kids, but it's like this trend now where we don't need teachers, we can do this on our own, you know, because we are, as Americans, we think we are very good at everything, so obviously we can all be teachers, right?
Right.
Well, and it goes along with the lack of respect
Yeah.
for teachers and for the school system, and
Yeah.
I can do a better job, and I don't
feel
know.
like we have to remind people that it's important. Like I'm not saying that not everyone can be a teacher, I don't want to say that, but there are reasons why some of us are in the classroom and some of us
Right.
are not, you know what I mean? Like
Right,
there's.
I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot
And-
more to school than just
Yeah, I was just gonna say
the
that.
teacher or the education part, the
Right.
socialization, like
Especially
exposure.
at the
Yeah.
Washington
Yeah,
grades,
and just
yeah.
being exposed to kids that are different than you.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are really good at talking about ideas.
Yes, we are.
We gotta get a pen and a paper and design something at some point. Is anyone interested in being a part of a smaller group that is doing that at some point?
Depends when you would meet, because,
We would find your schedule. Assume it would fit your schedule.
okay.
If it would fit your schedule. Anyone interested in being a part of something like that?
So I have, I would be happy to contribute, some ideas or thoughts. I wouldn't be able, I'm getting ready to go to budget season for council, so that would kind of is gonna preclude me. But I would love to contribute to a group, so if I can throw some thoughts out there, find some graphics, anything like that, I can throw it into something if, but
Same for me, and I know Canva enough to mess around with it, you
Okay.
know? To me, it's just a couple of questions. Are we targeting this, it almost seems like we should not target the same message to, it's not going out to everybody, you know what I mean? That what we're saying to kindergarten parents might be
Or
different.
age specific.
Mhm. Which of course makes things more complicated.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more complicated.
And so if that's the thing, but also, that would lend itself to, well, what's the theme of what we're, so do we tackle everybody? Do we tackle Washington because that's the foundation? I mean, I guess that's where a decision would need to be made, and
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that.
I think you're right, that it's more complicated if we target things, and it's gonna be more time, more work on crafting different messages, and then deciding how to target various people. What we do have today is a general blast to everybody, that we can do things like that with our email, social media, all of that.
Can we like break it down over like a set period of time, like?
Like a little bit, you say a little
Yeah, like-
something, they say a little something
Like,
different.
if
That's
your
a great
kids are
idea.
missing preschool and kindergarten, this is blah, 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 you know, and then we move it up to,
Mm.
you know, what about second, not necessarily like grade by grade, but kind of like group them by,
Right.
you know, age and maybe blast it out like over like a period of time.
So Tori, are you thinking, from what you just said, are you thinking that we're gonna give them suggestions on what to do, or are we gonna inform them?
More like an information.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
like not necessarily like, yeah.
Okay,
Telling them.
okay, I just wasn't sure what you were.
Hey, Kelly, Joey, do you guys have the ability to, like, using Aptigee or whatever this thing is, to blast out emails just to everybody, just all the parents at your school?
Yeah,
Yes, we do.
Okay, all right. So we could do that and say,
Or we can do
I-
just kindergarten, just
oh,
first.
okay, all right, fancy, fancy.
I mean, I'm even envisioning something that the message that's going to kindergarten has cute little 5-year-olds in the picture. And the message that's going to 5th grade has little old, you know, you can
Yeah.
tailor it that way
Yeah,
without
great,
too
great.
much difficulty,
Okay.
you know?
Okay. So what I'm kind of not hearing is a lot of interest in having a smaller meeting with 2 or 3 people in a week or two. What I am hearing interested in, though, is in people, maybe some people getting into Canva, putting together some messaging, and then throwing them into the group in some kind of way. And we can go through them that way, and love to do things. I always have this great hope of doing things offline in between the meetings. Maybe throw all of our ideas into one central place, and then have a folder or a list of them all. We can kind of go through and, yes, I like this, no, I don't like that, whatever.
I think it's really valuable when we put things up on the,
See it on the screen
Screen.
together.
see it together and have conversations about what we
Great.
like and don't like.
Great. Well, then, I guess what we could say, well, how are we gonna do on time here? All right, not too bad. So, get into Canva, take some of these messages. What I'll do is I've gathered some of the things we've said here, some of these slogans, every day counts, some things like that. And I'll blast those out as kind of food for thought or food for creation. And then if, for those of you who are so inspired, spend a little bit of time in Canva, make a thing. I'll invite you to send it back to me, and I'll compile them all together and put them in a folder so we can all throw them up on the screen afterward, or next time. And
these are, like, posts, right? This is what we're
yeah, I would
talking
say a draft of an image of some kind. I think these should be, in general, more vertically oriented than horizontally oriented. So this is like something you could view on your phone screen, I think, as somebody's, imagine you're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram here or something, and you've got an image there that's something captivating. I'd say in general, not a ton of text, something that people are gonna be able to read in a flash, and just a little bit of a nugget of an idea that, you know what, maybe school is important.
I will send my child to school.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, it takes a lot of times of being exposed to a positive message
Exactly.
before it gets under, so just a little idea to get weasel it into their brain a little bit.
If you'd like examples, I have printouts from attendance works of some of the flyers, so.
And stealing is okay. There's no such thing as plagiarism when it's a good idea. I didn't say that, but maybe that's another one. There's no such thing as plagiarism.
There's a ton, I'm Googling right now, there's a ton we can just pull.
Yeah.
I mean, too, so.
Great. Great.
Did you just Google it?
Yeah, I mean, really just saying, school attendance matters. And, I mean, it is, you're just getting, I mean, tons of graphics that you could pull up. So we might be able to just do a search like that and tailor the message a little bit
Yeah.
with the
Yeah, because
graphics.
I think it's important, as you have said, most people would say, well, sure, attendance matters, but they don't get that,
Right.
Like how much it matters.
how much it matters, or how fast it adds up, maybe.
Can we do like an email thread? I don't know if that's something you're interested in, and then you could share it like that way. I don't know if we can do that.
Sure.
Reply all.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because does Aaron, because you send it to just like your agenda to just us
I do,
ever?
yeah.
You do
Yeah,
that first,
email
and then you
us
post it, right?
Yeah.
So we could do it on there.
Yeah.
And then Joey and I, we can send it on either Seesaw or then social media too. So like Seesaw, the parents get
Okay.
an individual message sent to them, and then like I get like a pop-town message, a text message, I get all the things when I get a Seesaw message, then you just click on it and you see it that way. Or we can post it to social media, so like if you like the Facebook, then you can see it that way. And then on the
Honestly, for like
website.
the younger grades, like Seesaw is, because I don't check my email, I don't check my voicemail,
Yeah.
but when I see the little Seesaw thing, I'm like immediately, I
Yeah.
gotta see what's going on.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I think sending it out like on Seesaw is, or is it Canvas that they use it?
Yeah, like on ours, I know when I was
Yeah.
younger, they could put like a message at the top if it was
Yeah.
like for school-wide or whatever. Even like for us, I feel like it'd be important to post it on like the school page just for even like high schoolers and middle schoolers
Yeah.
to see as well.
Yeah,
I mean, I know like you can scroll Facebook, but I mean, a lot of times you're just scrolling, you're not like stopping to actually read the things that are on there. I don't.
whatever it is, I think it should be repeated, you know? There are those things that you see all the time, then somebody else may repost it and you're like, I just don't.
Yeah.
Because you see it so often.
Yeah.
I think it's gotta be like the old say no to drugs thing. Just every place.
And it can't be too busy, I would say, not too
Right.
much information, or people will just zip
Less
right
is
by
more.
it.
And the message can change a little bit, you know, but the,
And Mary's right, there are so many of them.
okay.
So many. And it even shows high school or just student attendance, you know, so it even breaks it down that way.
And I think it'd be
Obviously,
important
this
to
is
put
not the
our
first
own
place, right?
information like into the thing so people realize like what's, like if they see it, they're like, oh, that's what's happening, but like and then they realize it's our school.
Right.
Like that's what's
Yeah, our
really happening.
statistics and things,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I doubt very many district parents have any idea how
Like I told my
bad
parents today.
attendance can
Yeah.
get.
Right.
If there's any celebrities who have addressed this, that's always kind of
Ah.
an eye catcher for people.
Well, we could put a picture of Abraham Lincoln.
There you go.
Have you seen those, right?
He says,
Quotes that he
Yeah.
says he could never have said.
pass it up.
Even I would love to see is we got some graphics, I'd love to see them out in local businesses. To where literally everywhere you're going in town, you're seeing a physical copy of.
That's a good idea.
You're sitting waiting for your dentist appointment, it's like, oh my gosh, there it is.
Order at McDonald's, there it is.
Yes, I agree, Joey.
The Wright brothers?
There's enough people, I think, in this community that would really, that support that. I think that's a great idea. There's a couple we could put, like, I know we put it at the bank, I know that all of us in here have different connections with people to say like, hey, you know, we're a community, it takes a village, right? So all of it, like, let's really saturate our community with this message, and I think that's a great idea.
Yes, I would be willing to go, you know, if it was a poster or something, I would go door to door,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, people do that for events.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We do the
So
theater
why
and
not,
everything,
yeah, why not do that for our kids and just like have some type of slogan or campaign that we really like and just, you know, go to businesses and go to places and say like, let's let people see this. Let's make them see it in all different places where it starts to pay attention.
Okay, I just started Googling that. Who said celebrities? Was it you? Imagine if Jesse McCartney, I don't even know if he's relevant anymore, but, or Nicki Minaj called your child and said, hey, you know Jesse McCartney? Or you going, yeah, Nicki Minaj?
I know Nicki Minaj.
Okay, all right, I'm like, okay.
Gotta check, gotta
Got a
check.
phone call from them in the morning. McCartney and other celebrities, Nicki Minaj, Wiz Khalifa, are teaming up with cities across the country to increase school attendance rates through pre-recorded wake-up calls reminding students of the importance of going to class. I don't know if Sam Ramirez would have the same kind of
That would be
pull
amazing.
and excitement, huh? That's what I mean. Sam's like our local guy.
Oh, man, that's a good idea.
I don't know. But the campaign is be there,
Mary, you're a
get
local
there.
celebrity too.
I am not.
Yeah, you can do it, Mary.
I can hear it now. Let's do it. Everybody knows Mary.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Just wait till budget season starts.
Your voice doesn't sound quite as
Yeah,
chipper.
no.
All right, so this is great. So we've got the message that's going to be, that we're going to be, I feel we're going to get some ideas around that. So during this next month here, we'll be working on creating these images and drafts that we can then come together. And hopefully by the end of the next meeting, we'll select a few of those. And then I've got a list of these ways we're going to publish in some kind of way. One is this is going to be sending out by Seesaw, our social media, or Facebook and all of that the district is plugged into. And then making posters of some of these to put in the banks and the stores and the restaurants and all these things.
How are we, so we're emailing, sending them as an attachment to email or?
I like the, yes, attachment to email, I like the idea of let's just do a reply to all and send it to everybody, so everybody sees it. I'll try to scrape them out of there as they come through and put them in a folder so that,
Make sure you
Alright.
actually screen.
Yes.
so it's gonna feel like you grab each one and
Yeah, okay.
pull them out into a folder so we can,
That'll be easier when we're presenting them. if
exactly,
you're not
rather
having
than
to-
scrolling through the big list long of email, and somebody sent this, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we'll put them in a folder together and we can all kind of review them next time.
So we're replying to, what, maybe the meeting agenda? Would that be the?
Would you like me to, well, I'll send out,
One that says
I'll send
test.
out the minutes, but I can also just send out a general one that
How
says,
about
use
you guys?
this.
Yeah.
Here's the thread for sending all your brilliant
There you
ideas.
go.
Cool. All right. So the other one we had was this subcommittee for the work on the ROE, work with the ROE on partnership mapping. So far, I'm not getting a whole lot of interest in the subcommittee concept. Is anyone interested in sitting down with the ROE to go to do this partnership mapping idea? Or does anyone not remember what that is and talk about it enough?
I'm not sure I exactly understand the process. Can you nutshell it?
Thanks. I don't totally understand what
say.
a
Oh, okay.
partnership map is.
Okay.
But in general, the nutshell is that it's a map, it's a visual representation in some kind of way of all of our partnerships that we've got. And a lot of that could be what we generated last year, which is like the list of all the different mental health services and all these things. But
So partnership mapping in reference to attendance?
in reference to mental health services is what we kind of focused on last time.
Yes, okay. Oh, I thought they were talking, okay.
They do a lot of things. Attendance is one
Okay,
of
I
them.
thought we were talking about it for attendance, okay.
And it could be that some of those end up being the services that people need in order to help. When we talked about
Okay,
tools for
got it.
schools and.
And I think was
bus
it
rides.
supposed to kind of help you visually, because I'm fuzzy on the details,
Right.
but help you visually be able to see where you don't have enough, where there's
Yeah.
some areas lacking.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yep. And maybe I think what I didn't do last time, but what I can do is ask them to send me a sample of what that even looks like of a partnership mapping.
Let's look at that, and I'd like to revisit it next time, maybe.
Sounds like a great idea.
And would we be sending this out to our families? So would this be something that would be, what, this mapping?
What we do with it?
Yeah, what,
It's a great question. I think that I don't know. They talked about it being something that a lot of districts see value in, and for some reason it's been on my task list. And yeah, let's take a look and see what it is, and then we can know where it might go.
Well, and typically, it kind of filters through the school social workers, so they know of those community partnerships or things like that. So I mean, part of their job is kind of being a hub for parents to be able to connect them to resources in the community. So they do a lot of that. But I don't know, yeah, not every person is going to reach out. You know, do they know, like, for example, like in the last few years, we have Mississippi counselors in all of the schools coming and doing clinical type work with kids. So, and that's something we didn't used to have.
If I remember too, I think part of the partnership mapping too was the internal partnersals too that we have, like what we can utilize. So you said counselors and that kind of.
Well,
made
and
me
we
think of
have
that part of it, like what we
Nexus.
can utilize internally as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, and that would be kind of helpful. We have Nexus this year, which is through the ROE. I think they
Yep.
talked about it, didn't they? But literally, so I can make a referral. I think just admin and counselors can do referrals right now. So if you make a referral, all these places pop up that you can refer parents to. So like YWCA, Mississippi, like PADS, homeless shelter. There's a ton. So I
At
don't
no
know.
cost?
What?
At no cost?
Oh, no, the district paid for it, yeah. Like, the district pays like per student,
Okay.
but all the schools have it. So not every student is part of it, but any student can be referred with parent permission. I guess it should be family is actually referred. So I don't know, like, that's kind of there, so I don't know if that,
Yeah, there's a
Is
set
similar?
cost that the district pays.
Yeah, we
And
pay
then
once at the
however
beginning
many
of the year.
referrals you wanna put in, you can put in. So however you utilize it as much as you're willing to or able to.
Yeah.
Maybe if they will send us an example, and then we can
Yep.
kind of see, because am I understanding you too correctly that maybe, I don't wanna say we don't need partnership mapping, but that it's almost there as a part of the
yeah, that's what I,
nexus?
because even next time I could log into it and pull it up and just show you guys all the different places that show up that we can refer kids. We typically do like Mississippi or Truancy's on there too, but then there's all these other partnerships. So, yeah, I just don't know if it'd be too repetitive.
Right.
Because it'd be the same, like you said, the social workers are the ones that make the referrals. They're the ones who see all that. I don't know. I can pull it up and show you next time.
Part of the reason we did this last year of like all of this mental health services was that parents, like, it's the I don't know what to ask for concept. I don't know.
And
what-
parents don't see this, so I mean, that makes
Right.
sense.
Right. Maybe, and then, yeah, part of the message then was, okay, if you don't know, just call the social workers, and because it's their job. I feel like you were talking about with like millennials and people, they don't want to call, and I'm kind of the same, so I don't want to call, I want to know what I'm asking for before I ask for it, you know?
That's why I prefer to write things out, because
Yeah.
it's easier to, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll figure that out with, was it Angie Garza? Was the-
Yeah, it's in
Yeah.
Reach out to her. Perfect.
Jaya.
A-N-J-I, got it. Okay. Any other, we're a few minutes ahead, so congratulations to us. Any other topics for the good of the group?
So are you doing a February meeting? 'Cause,
We are doing a February meeting. So as in number 5 here, let's set the agenda for our next meeting. You thought I was going to adjournment, didn't you? I can read a little bit.
That was a gentle hint.
I was just giving you a kind of. So good at this. Hey, let's meet on the 18th of February. How's that sound?
Hey, that
perfect.
sounds
Great.
great.
Love it. And the agenda for that, which I think I spat out earlier, was look through our ideas of the all the wonderful things that get sent. We'll throw them up on the wall, and then try to connect some graphics or messages with some output methods of where are we going to send this, how are we going to send this, which ones are we printing, who's taking it to the bank, who's taking it to Subway and putting it on the wall, and all of that. Aaron, can you summarize that into actual human words?
I'll get that figured out.
Okay, cool. If there's nothing else, and I haven't forgotten anything else, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second?
Second.
Woo! There's so many to choose from.
And the sun's still shining.
Still shining.
Days are getting longer.